guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 2 on DraftKings is here, and I am live on Twitch where we're going to talk with my chat over here. We're going to take their questions on cash games, on tournaments, on stacks, on anything that they have, any questions they have to help them build lineups and help you build lineups for Week 2 DFS. Let's see if we can get after it. I do have a couple of announcements before we get into the video. Number 1, the cheat sheet. My cheat sheet going over the top quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, under 10% value plays. There's a whole bunch of those.
He's a legend.
My top stacks and everything else are going to be in that cheat sheet. It is available on the Discord. You want to go to smizzle.tv/Discord and get into the Discord. You also, to get access to the cheat sheet, you must be subscribed to Twitch or a channel member here on YouTube. Go to smizzle.tv/join if you don't see the join button right down below. That will give you the prompt to be a $5 a month subscriber here on YouTube. You can do the same on Twitch. You go to Discord, you follow the instructions, you link your Discord account to YouTube, and then you will magically see all the private VIP rooms for the subscribers on both platforms where the cheat sheet comes out every single Friday afternoon. So that's the announcement. That's the big one. Become a channel member today. Get access to my cheat sheet for the weekend. And we'll go over that every Monday on the Fantasy Football channel on the recap show. So thank you for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, make sure you join the Discord, and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Week 2 Smiz Gang Listener League, 5,000 entrants. It's already like, what, 43% filled? I guess. I don't know how that's tracking, but it's a $10 tournament, 3 max, $50,000 in, $50,000 out. Absolutely no rake. The best tournament on DraftKings. It is not a lobby tournament. You won't find this in the DraftKings lobby. You have to go to smizzle.tv/links. That is my link tree that has links to everything, including the Listener League. Click on Listener League, and that will take you here. Make sure you get your 3 entries. I will shout out the winners on that recap video I mentioned in the intro on Monday on the Fantasy Football channel. And the first week 17 winners will compete in a battle royale, a cage match of their own, rip to the cage match, in week 18 for some fun prizes as well. That one's going to be a free roll for all of the winners of the Listener League this year. So make sure you get in it, and let's bring in the chat. Seahawks and Lions is a fun stack for the week, or secondary. Look, they're going to be very popular. Here's the thing. It's a weird week. Mods, can you guys get on the cash game polls? We need like cash game polls, like a 1 or a 2 minute poll for who the chat wants as the cash game consensus cash game quarterback, consensus running back, consensus cash game running back, cash game wide receiver, cash game tight end, and then we'll go over that when we have all of those votes in with the chat. So one of the mods can get on that. That would be outstanding. I think that some of the stacks are going to be extremely popular this week. If you watch the top stacks video, which is up on the channel, you're going to notice, and you have access to projections, which I assume many of you do, whether you're on ETR or Fantasy Labs or where you rotogrinder. I don't care where you get your projections from. They're all somewhat similar with certain standouts here or there, but generally speaking, a lot of the cash game plays, a lot of the high percentage projected plays right now are involved in top stacks. So the top stack players are projecting, a lot of them, as cash game values. So if they are projecting as cash game values and those chalky-ish stacks go off, this could be an extremely high cash line week, an extremely high scoring week if cash game stuff smashes, because cash game stuff isn't always tournament stuff, right? But if you consider, I think that Josh Allen is a solid enough cash game play this week. A lot of big time quarterbacks off the slate, right? So like we had Minnesota and Philly on Thursday night. We have the Dolphins on Sunday night. Browns, Steelers, Saints, Panthers, none of those guys were going to be cash game considerations. There's not all that many cash game options at quarterback. If you're going to pay up, I think that you go with Allen over Mahomes and Jackson, personally, up against Las Vegas's defense. Justin Fields, extremely high priced, right? They've really juiced him up. Richardson's in play because he is one of the cheaper running quarterbacks. Purdy at 5,700 in play if you're looking for a cash game quarterback. I'm not buying Sam Howell against Denver's defense, specifically their pass game defense. I know he adds a little bit with his legs. Same thing for Baker Mayfield. Like, those are more tournament-ish plays to me. So I think you're going to get a lot of people coalescing around somebody like Josh Allen. Well, guess what? That's a really popular stack. I also think that a lot of people are going to be using Devontae Adams as a bring-back play in that stack, right? Either him or Josh Jacobs. I think more are going to be moving towards Devontae Adams, specifically because, A, he's not facing Patrick Surtain Jr. Buffalo is fine defensively, but they don't have like a shutdown, lockdown guy. Like Tre'Davious White's fine, but like he's not Patrick Surtain. He's not Sauce Gardner. We know this, right? He's good. No slight to him. But there's a difference between you're the best in the world and you're like good, right? He's good. But Devontae Adams is a world beater and mostly matchup proof. You remember, like, aren't you worried about Darius Slay guarding Justin Jefferson? How'd that work out? Some guys are just matchup proof. Even Sauce Gardner got cooked by Steph Diggs in week 1. So, like, great wide receivers can be schemed into open positions, can, if they're just lined up in press coverage, can beat CB1s, can beat lockdown guys. And Devontae Adams has proven to us so many years in a row that he's, completely matchup proof. So these two guys, if he goes off in a stack, you're looking at Allen, Adams, Diggs being extremely popular and going off. So 2 cash game-ish plays that could go off there. Also, where's the other cash game stacks? Like, there are stacks that I think are cash game viable. The thing with Devontae Adams also, by the way, that I did want to highlight, Jacoby Myers still in concussion protocol, which means I think more people are now going to lock into Adams. I think that opens up other players like Hunter Renfrow. Like, they're really going to, their volume is going to be so concentrated around Adams and Jacobs that really high floor, really high ceiling for both of those guys. You look at some of the other stacks that we had. Cincinnati stack, Jamar Chase, really going to have a high percentage this week, like 20% in tournaments, very likely. Seattle and Detroit stacks, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know that you can't play all 3 of those 7,600 plus wide receivers in one lineup, but it's almost like the ace golfers in PGA, where none of them are ever 5%. Whether you're playing Scheffler, whether you're playing John Rahm, whether you're playing whoever, Hovland, they're all like 25, Rory, they're all 35%, 25 to 35 every single week. So in football, they're all going to be like 18 to 25% this week, every single one of them. So any one of them that goes off is going to push and pull lineups. And we have chalk at running back with David Montgomery. We have chalk at running back in the 5,500 range with Rashad White. There's a lot of guys who project as cash game plays who fit with what the standard tournament build could be also. If the chalk goes off any week, you're going to have a higher cash line. But the chalk correlates this week. The chalk is in stacks that we project to go off. And in the case that happens, those days, absolutely massive score lines. Absolutely massive score lines. I did want to say one thing. We are going to have to move the Anti-Tinkercast. For those of you who know that we do the Anti-Tinkercast on Twitch live every single Sunday for NFL, the last 45 minutes before lock. We're going to have to move that an hour earlier this week on Twitch, smizzle.tv/live, to get over there. Drop a follow on my Twitch channel because reasons. I'm going to be on ESPN's Fantasy Football Now, whether that hour that I'm going to be on in the final hour before kickoff. I've got a segment with myself and Dop and Mike Clay. For those of you who listen to the CSS DFS podcast, we're getting a segment on ESPN Fantasy Football Now, whether it's on ESPN2 or ESPN News. I don't know in that hour because they do move it around based on other ESPN programming. But as such, we have to be nimble and move the Anti-Tinkercast just for week 2 an hour earlier. Hopefully we see you guys over there. Jake Cook for a pivot for Buffalo. Yes, that's always a good way to go, right? Anytime you see chalk, leveraging the chalk with the other thing is going to be a great way to kind of attack the percentage. So if you think that Buffalo stacks, let's say here, are going to be the way, right? Allen, Diggs, and then one of Gabe Davis or Kincaid at tight end or whatever. What if James Cook just goes nuts, right? What if he's the guy? What if James Cook has a day where he catches 5 footballs and and scores 2 touchdowns? Is that beyond the pale? It's not the highest probability. Obviously, that's why it's not the way, right? That's why the chalk is Allen stacks. But what if the highest probability option doesn't come in and the lower probability option does? You can play the Bills and fade the stack and go with Cook. What if Allen throws one touchdown to Cook and he runs one more in, and then they get a defensive touchdown and Dawson Knox catches a touchdown? And let's say Allen has 23 fantasy points with 2 touchdowns, 1 to Knox, 1 to Cook. Like, these are things that can have with 294 yards, no rushing touchdowns, where the stacks kind of peter out. The Bills still have a good day, but Cook has 130 total yards with 4 receptions. Like, these things can happen, and Cook projected for a much lower percentage and an awkward price point based on the values that are around him to be that sort of value. Same thing goes on, let's say, Tampa Bay. If Tampa Bay, we know that Rachaad White chalk is probably going to be a thing this week, because I don't care who the running back is. If they're getting volume against Chicago, we're going to play them. I don't care if you think your grandma is better than Rachaad White. Your grandma fell in the shuttle drill in Indianapolis. Like, she sucked at the combine. I'm sorry, but she did. So Rachaad White is the guy, not your grandma. So people are going to play him at 5,500 into the Chicago Bears defense at home and like, this is what's going to happen, right? This is what's going to happen this week. I don't care what you think about Rachaad White's talent level. You're not paid to be an NFL talent evaluator. None of us are. We have to evaluate by the analytics and the math and the probabilities. That's what we do as daily fantasy players. So if he's going to be the chalk and everybody's going to be on him, how do you leverage the Rachaad White chalk? It's not that hard. You just play this. There's your pivot off of Rachaad White chalk. If you think that the Bears defense is bad enough, why can't Baker Mayfield throw 3 touchdowns? Why can't those touchdowns go to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? Why can't that happen? Especially if 20 to 25% of the field is going to be on Rachaad White, who you think sucks, right? I don't think he sucks. I think he's fine, right? I think he's a talented pass catcher who's getting the volume, 19 opportunities in week 1 against a defense that was engaged to stop him. And now he gets a team that probably can't stop your grandma from running the football. So now we have a situation where everybody's on Rachaad White, but what if it goes the other way? You think it's one way, but it's the other way. And we get Mayfield to Evans to Godwin. So the easiest way to leverage chalk is to just play the other possible outcome. Not that difficult. Do I consider 20% ownership super chalky in Millionaire Makers? Yeah, there's a lot of ownership. There's a lot of players. So it's a good question. Where do I consider something chalky? In large field, I'm way more sensitive to chalk than in small field. So I tend to play a lot of small field. I'm in the Thunderdome this week, which is a 35-person tournament. I'm probably going to be in the Game Changer, which is a $1,500 tournament where it's, like 160 or 200 people, single entry, small field, whatever. And I suggest you guys play 100-man, right? I really suggest you play 100-man games. And if you play those 100-man games, it's not that difficult to get off the chalk. Instead of playing the number 1 option, just cross off the number 1 option everywhere on your sheet. What's the top stack and bring back? Don't use them. What's the top running back? Don't use them. And just play the second, third best options. And you're immediately different in those contests. The Millionaire Maker is a different animal, right? It's different. Cumulative ownership over individual, 100% correct, right? You shouldn't be paying as much attention to... I think people who make those specific rules, this guy is 30%, therefore I cannot play him. I think that's wrong. You can play him. Same with defenses. Like if a defense is 25%, yeah, you can play that defense if you get different enough in other places. So like one of the rules that I always set, you guys have seen it. I'm pushing 2 players that are under 12% into every lineup that I make. And one of the things that helps that is the double stack and bring back, right? The double stack and bring back immediately makes you different. It gets you off. And I go with a cumulative ownership total of 130 and I push 2 players. I make the optimizer shove in 2 players that are less than 10%. But your small field ownership numbers are going to look a lot different than your large field ownership numbers, because in a 100-man tournament, a 20% player in the Millionaire Maker is going to be 50% in small field. So like I said, you don't have to go that far in concentric circles away from the chalk, where in large field tournament, yeah, considering something like a Tampa Bay stack is sharp. But in small field, you don't need to. In small field, like the number 3 and 4 stacks are highly contrarian in small field. So understand the game that you're playing and then go from there. I'm writing down who don't put them in chat. I'm writing down who the polls were so that we can go over the stuff, you know? So there's a lot of easy ways to get different when you use double stack, bring back, secondary stack. Josh Allen 150 times. Don't know if there's ever been a better week. Coming off a bad game, going from a terrible defense, from a really good defense to a terrible defense, going from an island game on the road in week 1 to a home game in week 2. Like, there's a lot of reasons for 150. Like, it's draft day at this point. 150 Josh Allen stacks, no matter what. But I probably won't do it because I'm a coward. I'm also... like, I might do that. Like, I kind of want to do it in the Millionaire Maker, but also I kind of want to vary it a little bit because it's the Millionaire Maker, and then maybe play 150 Josh Allen stacks in another tournament. But like, you'd have to take my shoelaces away if the Josh Allen stack won like the slant and had a higher score than the Millionaire Maker winner. So, damn it. Best Buy cheat sheet for this week. By the time this video is live on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, hi YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, it's live in Discord. If you're watching the recording on Twitch right now while we're recording, it'll be live right after we finish this recording. It's going to be live. Let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. Let's do that. Let me refresh so that we have fresh pickems on Underdog. Let's do that. And let me put in the amount that we're going to play for, because they have a promo that looks pretty cool. If you don't have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, use the code ALSMIZZLE on your first deposit to the site, ALSMIZZLE. That's all one word. You get up to $100 deposit bonus on Underdog on your first deposit to the site. And you can see right up here, they have a straight up line for Tua on Sunday night, but it says 100K Sunday. Well, what does that mean? That means that Underdog's giving away 10,000 free dollars to 10 lucky winners who use this Tua total yards pick. $100,000 they're giving away this week to just 10 random people. So if you make a card where you have Tua in it and you win, you get put into a raffle where 10 people are just going to get 10K dropped into their account. Okay, let's go higher there and let's find this Josh Allen guy. Let's go with Josh Allen over 256 passing yards. Let's go with Diggs over 74.5 for $50. Three correct pays 6 times. We're going to submit that. Boom. What? Oh, I can only do $20 on the special. All right, fine. We'll do $20 on the special. There's the $20. Boom. Done. I wanted to play for more. They won't let me. Why are you limiting me, Underdog? Anyway. Also, if you wanted to build better pickems, head over to Unabated Sports. Smizzle.tv/bet will take you there. They have a 5-day free trial if you use my link or use the promo code SMIZ at checkout. It will ask for your credit card details, but that won't activate until after the 5-day free trial. Great tools if you're a sports bettor. Become a better today. Go to Unabated Sports. Use smizzle.tv/bet. Al's going to get the drop. There's no chance. 1, I'm going to lose the pick'em. Totally going to lose the pick'em, right? 3, so that's 1. 3, once I lose it, I'm out. 2, question marks. 4, profit. Got to pay $12 for that trial? Really? No, it should be 5 days free. Should be 5 days free, and then, I don't know. I just emailed them yesterday about that. We'll see. It's not? Okay, I'll email them again. Underdog limits the free money. That's not a bad idea. You know, it's not a bad idea. All right. Got one more. I need a tight end poll for the cash game lineups. Indy talking to Lenny, is that true? I don't know. I got to assume, well, Indy had brought in Kareem Hunt last week also, which brings up an interesting kind of point here, right? So, like, there's going to be some chalk. There's also going to be a lot of value plays at running back. Okay, let's go look at the running back. There's going to be a lot of value plays running. So the value plays, let's look at 6K and down. Okay, like under 6K. We have Aaron Jones dealing with a hamstring injury. He did not practice on Wednesday. I don't think he practiced on Thursday. Monitor the whole thing. Okay, if Aaron Jones plays, AJ Dillon might play more snaps. If Aaron Jones does not play, AJ Dillon is unleashed on Atlanta for probably 20 to 25 opportunities. he'll be extremely popular at 5,900 if Aaron Jones is out. Dave Montgomery is projecting as one of the top 2 chalk running backs on the week at 5,800. Ken Walker Jr., solid usage last week, 17 opportunities, 5 of them coming through the air, something he was not used in last year. Pacheco, not going to be a cash game option, but 4 targets last week. Very interesting usage for him after getting no targets last year. We're going to skip right over Cam Akers. Damian Pierce at home now, against Indianapolis, who is not a good defense. Interesting play, and kind of a similar price pivot off of Rachaad White, who is the other chalky sort of cash game-ish play. Some people are going to flock towards Tyler Algier because of the fact that he got more usage and specifically more inside the 5 usage than Bijan Robinson did in week 1. We also have a little bit further down, Brian Robinson Jr. just continues to be. It's funny how I read a lot of content this week that was like, well, Brian Robinson Jr. is the main guy in that Commanders offense. Why wouldn't we pick him up on waivers? Why wouldn't we start him? Why? Yeah, I said this to you. Welcome to the party, pals. I got shunned for suggesting that he should be drafted ahead of Antonio Gibson for like 3 straight months. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. Guess what? He's the guy. Kyron Williams, I'm not buying into playing against San Francisco on the ground. I don't play running backs against them. I very rarely will play wide receivers against them, except for specific situations where it's possession guys that we're going to get targets. And then there's one other play right here. Joshua Kelly last week in a fully healthy situation with Austin Eckler got 17 opportunities and looked good with them. Now we have the possibility that Austin Eckler could miss this week, as he was a non-participant in practice on Thursday. So like my ears kind of do this a little bit. They kind of perk up with the Thursday practice reports. I ignore Wednesdays for the most part. If he misses practice on Friday and they're not practicing yet, or we don't have a report for that because I'm recording this at like 9:45 in the morning on Friday. So if we get news that Austin Eckler is out, all of a sudden Joshua Kelly at his price of $5K all of a sudden becomes an extremely palatable option with 20 plus opportunities plus work in the pass game. Also, we want to target running backs against Houston, and Zach Moss, full participant Wednesday. I'm assuming full participant Thursday and Friday. He will take over the lead job, in my opinion, with Deion Jackson playing behind him. Jackson is a not quite ready for primetime guy. He was what they had last week. He fumbled an awful lot. Evan Hull got hurt, which leaves Zach Moss as the lead guy in week 2. So there's a lot of value plays, potential value plays, sub 6K at running back this week. I'm not saying all of them are cash game plays, but the fact that there's so many options makes it easier for us to target value in tournaments, and they're not all going to fail. They're just not all going to fail. That's the problem. Even if Eckler doesn't practice today, would have 2 days to get better. How do you build lineups knowing that? I mean, we'll get news over the weekend. You get the Shefty news dump on Saturday night also. Like, we'll figure it out, right? And if you don't get news on Saturday night, that game is an early game because it's in Tennessee, right? So that's an early game. We'll get that inactive at 90 minutes before lock. So you'll know. That's the beauty of NFL DFS versus something like NBA DFS, where NBA, again, it's Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts. We're going to find out. We'll see if this works. NFL, you know who's going to play and who's not going to play. Sometimes we have to make a decision or distinction between, well, this player is active, but is he active or is he active? Do I hand build lineups? For small field, yeah. I hand build my Thunderdome lineup, but I'm not going to sit here and click in 150 lineups. I use the Fantasy Labs lineup builder for that. Can I explain the ETR sim product or wait till after the stream? Hard for me to get into because that would have to be like its own video. I might have to bring on one of the ETR guys and do another video for the How to Win on DraftKings explaining their Sims product. Maybe I'll get Pete to come on and we'll do that next week. Can I get Rainmaker to flip the recent games in order? Oh my God. I'm with you on that. The My Contest page for Rainmakers is there. I love Rainmakers. I'd have to preface this by saying that I absolutely love Rainmakers. I do. It has me, right? It has my attention, but like when you go to the page, it's what's worse, FanDuel's live screen or the My Contest page in Rainmakers? Go. I didn't see who the cash tight end was. Can somebody put who the cash game, who won the poll? Like, I know who I think it is, but who do you guys? So like going to my Rainmakers thing, right? Like, oh, I'm winning $6,000 right now. Let's freaking go. It's a lot of golf. I used the Lucky Trader thing to, their lineup builder to enter all my golf because I don't know who the guys were who were golfing. I think this dude, Gesundheit, he withdrew. So that lineup's dead. No prizes in there. Here's the 2022 cards, by the way. Here's all my 2022 lineups for this week that are just out there earning money. Free Keno. Because, like, I had players on Thursday night and these other ones, like, this is going to go down unless these guys go nuts. I do have the option now to bulk load those lineups with my best players that looked like they were doing well last night. Like, I think I have a Justin Jefferson here. This lineup, which is in first of Rainmakers, where I had Cousins and Jefferson. AJ Brown kind of sucked last night. I had TJ Hawkinson. So now I've got to alter this lineup and move, like, some better plays in here from last year and get like AJ Brown, Miles Sanders and Dalvin Cook out of there and probably get in like Ramondre Stevenson and Jacobs or Pollard and Jacobs or Cook and I got to get somebody in there. So that's how the My Contest, that's what everybody was saying, right? This is all the live contest. I agree. Absolutely tilting. Is there a reason why Rainmakers can't be integrated into the app? Yeah, there's actually a very good reason for that. It's because Apple, if you spend money in app, for a product, entries don't count in that. So if you spend money on entering the Millionaire Maker, that doesn't count as an in-app purchase. But if you buy a pack of cards, that does count as an in-app purchase, and DraftKings would have to pay Apple 30%, or Samsung Android, because that's how their app stores work. That's how they get these companies. That's how they make money, right? You're going to sell on our platform, so therefore we're going to charge you. And so DraftKings is like, F that. We already have slim enough margins on this project as is because of how much I have to pay. So there you have it. That's why. Because they don't feel like paying Apple 30%. That's why. All right. So the chat has given us their answer on cash games. They have given us our answer on cash games. The cash game quarterback, according to chat, based on the polls that we did, top 5 projected ownership were entered in the polls. Josh Allen is the chat cash game quarterback, cash game running back, Rashad White, cash game wide receiver, the Sun God, ASRB, Pow, and cash game. I don't have the tight end. Who did you guys pick for the tight end? I know who I think it should be, but tell me who you guys have. The cash game defense that they picked was the Buccaneers. Where are they? Where's Bucks? They're up here, right? Yeah, 3,200. Expensive. Yep, and exactly on the chalk. Chat is sharp. Twitch chat is sharp today. Look at her. There's their cash game core. My cheat sheet will be up. By the time you're watching this video, you can go compare what chat thought to my cheat sheet to see where their cash game core is similar or differentiated from mine. Go to smizzle.tv/discord, become a channel member here on YouTube, smizzle.tv/join, and that will take you to that. What other questions do we have? Will I be fine losing 2022 lobbies if 2023 lobbies were paid out more? I don't know. I think Rainmakers. Yes, more money is always good, but having multiple bites at the apple also good. Can you break the rules with Kelly and Herbert like with Eckler? See, now that one I don't know. I don't know if Kelly's going to garner 15% of the target market share. He's talking about, can you stack Herbert, Allen, Kelly? Now, I'll make exceptions when the running back is such a great value that it's not going to matter as much, right? I'm not somebody who's totally against using a value running back, because a running back and a quarterback can go off. You know who are two players who in there, speaking specifically about a year. Remember when Ryan Tannehill was good on the Titans? Think back like 2-3 years when the Titans were excellent. And Ryan Tannehill was posting like a stretch of 20 or 25 games where he was one of the most efficient quarterbacks over that long of a time in history. He was amazing because of how good Derrick Henry was at that time, where it was not unlikely that Derrick Henry would run for 120 to 150 yards with 1 or 2 touchdowns, and Ryan Tannehill would throw for 2 and run for where they would score like 30 to 40 points a game, and Henry could eat and Tannehill could eat at the same time. And they were diametrically opposed. Derrick Henry never caught more than 2 targets in a week. So if you're telling me that you've got a guy that's just too cheap, as opposed to Derrick Henry being too expensive, and at that time, Tannehill was very cheap. Yeah, it can work. Henry against the Chargers D this week. Smash. Don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. Getting differentiated at running back. Remember how I pointed out all of those running backs who were cheap this week? So what do you think the standard roster build is going to be in tournaments? Talked about ways to get different and get leverage against the field. So if everybody is paying down at running back and everybody is paying up at wide receiver, how do we get different from the field? It's not like a big secret. If everybody's paying down there, what if you go with team jam them in and do like this and that? Can you build a lineup with that? Because if you can build a lineup with that, if the standard roster build, right? The standard roster build is this and this, which, yes, this is going to be the standard roster build, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be where everybody goes. They're going to spend, what, 11,300 on 2 running backs? If you go the other way and you say Christian McCaffrey with San Francisco's ridiculous offensive line and the Rams, all apologies to Aaron Donald, one of the worst defensive lines in the league outside of Aaron Donald, that overmatched situation, and the fact that the Chargers just give up yards in chunks to opposing running backs, what if we just did that? Can you build a lineup with that? I kind of think you can. So if everybody's doing one thing, expensive here, cheap here, go expensive here, go mid-range here. Hell, at tight end, everybody is gravitating towards one thing. This. Everybody's gravitating toward the Luke Musgrave mustache. Okay? They're all gravitating towards this because Watson might still be out. Dobbs is hurt. You know he's going to be on the field a ton. But how many sub 4K tight end options do we have? Laporta at 3,900. He's just not as cheap. You got to pay like 600 more. Kincaid, 3,300. Spent 0 snaps pass blocking. Every single time he was on the field and Josh Allen dropped back to pass, this gentleman ran a route. Gotta love that, right? He's a wide receiver essentially playing tight end. Wide receivers don't pass block. He's essentially a wide receiver playing tight end. Fergie, 7 targets in a blowout. Same price pivot. Chig Okonkwo, as we talked about in the offseason, only 2 targets in week 1, but who's the downfield threat for Tennessee? Now we got Hopkins, who might miss this game. What was the miss if you watched the game, right? If you watched the game, what was the miss in this game? Chig Okonkwo was wide open down the field. Wide open down the field. And missed it. Absolutely missed it, right? Would have had a 60-yard touchdown. Chig Okonkwo is the downfield threat right now for the Tennessee Titans. 3,300. There aren't that many tight ends that can get a 50, 60-yard touchdown. He's one of them. Flop lag, unlikely. In the case that Mark Andrews misses a second straight week. Kate Otten, Granson, 6 targets last week. That's a lot of options. Why is everybody going to grab, like, cash game? Fine. You don't have to get different in cash games. Totally understand that. Luke Musgrave, cash game guy, get it. Totally get that. But in tournaments, look at all the guys that we just mentioned that have similar snap counts, routes run, not pass blocking, all at the same price. Very easy to get different in tournaments and very easy to afford that spend up stack at running back if you wanted to get different. Chet says, Adam Troutman, Thomas, Green Bay, Atlanta will be a slow pace. Yes, because they're going to run the hell out of the football on both sides. It's going to be 1930s football with like the rugby uniforms. What chalk position should fade the most? Probably tight end. Tight end's the easiest one to fade because tight ends are like hitters in baseball. Tight ends get like 4 at-bats. That's it. They get 4 at-bats. You saw that list. They all get like 4 targets, some of them 5. So if there's a chalk tight end where there's 5 other guys who project to get similar usage, and by usage I mean snaps, routes run, targets per routes run, all that stuff, you know, and some of them can hit a home run, fall into the painted area. What if we said this with Likely last week? Likely was the absolute smash cash game lock. Everybody had him 80% owned in the double ups. So if he fails in cash games, who cares? If he scores 12 points, what's a smash for a 3K tight end? 12, 14 points? But a fail we saw with Likely is like 2. Those guys can get you 2 points. So tight end is the position that I would definitely fade chalk because all the other guys have the same thing. How do we feel about 30 plus attempts for Fields last week? Was it sticky? Don't know. It's 1 week sample. I resist making any sort of those I know statements about volume and usage through 1 week and specifically through 2 weeks. The hardest weeks in daily fantasy, seriously, are weeks 1 and weeks 2. Absolutely the hardest weeks to go with. Absolutely the hardest weeks. Redacted looks like a good play for DFS. He's no longer redacted. Redacted is now La shit. That's who we can't say on the stream. Can't say that name. He's redacted. Mike Williams should be good for GPP though, because everyone doesn't want to play him. Yes, play the good players who other people are too afraid to play is a great strategy for building tournament lineups. I highly suggest you guys who are trying to build tournament lineups stick to limited entry, small field, get after it that way. Build cash game lineups. If you're a small bankroll player, somebody who plays between between $20 and $200 a week, that's a small bankroll player. If you are playing $20 to $200 a week on DraftKings, make sure you enter like half of your entries in $1 or $2 games, head-to-heads against different opponents. Let them make mistakes. Are we going back to the Sky Moore? Well, Kansas City's a mess. They're a good mess. But like for daily fantasy purposes, they're a hot mess. We got a lot of stuff going on there. Let me see if I can bring this. Hold on. I got to find it. This is going to take me a second. Let's go over to PFF and kind of look at this. Okay. Here's week 1, Kansas City. This may be small because it's text. Hopefully y'all are watching on your 80-inch TVs at home and not on your phone because it's going to be impossible if you're on your phone. Here's the receiving grades on PFF for Kansas City by pass plays. Noah Gray, MVS, Sky Moore played the most. Both of them played like 40% of their snaps in the slot. Justin Watson was next, and then Richie James and him split. They were both on the field 19 and 18 times. The Belldozer was out there 14. Again, this is without Kelsey. Rashee Rice looked flashy, only played on 12 plays. 91% of those plays he played in the slot. So if Rashee Rice is on the field, he's going to be in the slot. Kelsey's playing. Yes, I agree. I know. But that Kelsey doesn't affect the wide receivers. He affects the Belldozer and Noah Gray. These guys just won't play very much until they get inside the 5 and 10 yard line, and their coaching staff wants to get super cute and run a 6 tight end set. Kadarius Toney, 11 plays and like dropped 4 balls. When he's out there, they're targeting 11 plays, 5 targets. His targets per route run is otherworldly, but his drops per route run also otherworldly. So it's Travis Kelsey, and then honestly, it's a bunch of I hope. There's nothing you can say with conviction about MVS, Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Richie James. Patrick Mahomes is an absolute world beater who's amazing. But there's nothing that I can say that's going to make him be the guy, where we can know for sure that he's going to do the thing, right? It's impossible to know. I did want to let you know that we are once again doing a fundraiser for No Kid Hungry. 1 in 8 kids in America is at risk of hunger, but you can help. Anything that you donate, go to smizzle.tv/charity, or right there, look at this QR code. It's real pretty. If you're watching on your TV screen, get your phone out, take a little picture, get your phone, take a little picture of the QR code, and that'll take you to the donation page. Every dollar helps. Every single dollar helps. $50 provides 500 meals for a child who's struggling with an empty belly and demoralizing hunger pangs. Your gift today can make a big difference. So, Smizz Gang, we're going to feed the kids once again this year. And you got the ticker right up top and the QR code right there. ! Charity in the chat if you're watching on Twitch. Hey, feeding the kids. You guys kept asking, are we going to do it? So I did it. Do I like Gallup this week? I mean, if not as a standalone, I'm probably not going to play him as like, I got to get Gallup into this lineup sort of play. But if I'm stacking, then sure, he's fine. You got some donations for allocations on Sunday. That is the way to get the best bang for your buck, is to come to the Anti-Tinkercast. Every $25 donation to the stream, 2,500 bits, 5 gifted subs, or $25 donation to No Kid Hungry will buy you an allocation of a player that I have. You're like, Al, how much Rashad White do you have in the Millionaire Maker? I will tell you for a $25 donation on Sunday during the Anti-Tinkercast. And that also buys you on every Monday on stream, we do marble races for money, where I give money to back to the community based on how much you guys donate on Sunday. Under 5K wide receivers in cash. Yeah, we can look at those. Let me bring back the wherever I put it. Let's bring back that. Let's look at some cheap wide receivers. Let's go to wide receiver. So if people aren't under 5K, okay. I think there's a lot in the 5 to 6K range. This is target rich environment right here. This 5 to 6K range, super target rich environment, but you want me to skip that. So we'll start with 5K Zay Flowers against Cincinnati. If this game shoots out, love it. Love the usage that they had for him. Hodgins, not really. Puka Nacua didn't practice Thursday with an oblique. Monitor this as the week goes on. If he plays, he is a tremendous value. He played like 25% of his snaps in the slot. We can go back over to PFF and take a look at that just so you guys can see it. Los Angeles Rams get rid of Kansas City. Van Jefferson, 37, 37, 37. All the wide receivers were out there. A lot of 3 wide out stuff, right? A lot of 3 wide out stuff. Puka was the most targeted player. Remember, targets are earned, not given. Just because you are running around on a field does not mean you're going to be open and get targets. He played 30% of his snaps in the slot, 48.6% of Tutu Atwells were in the slot, and Van Jefferson at 45%. The Rams do target the Cooper Kupp position a lot against the 49ers. Their last 5 meetings, they targeted Cooper Kupp 13.5 times per game. So right now, Puka is in that role. He's in the Cooper Kupp role. If he plays, he is my favorite guy there. If not, then yes, I like Tutu Atwell, who is at a very similar price to him at like 4,700. Bobby Trees, we got to talk about Houston. We do have to talk about Houston's receiving situation. We can go back here to PFF and go over this. Let me eliminate them, and let's bring in the Houston Texans. Dalton Schultz ran a ton of routes last week. Love this. Pass blocked once. Noah Brown got hurt. He was their slot guy. 65% of the time, roughly, Noah Brown was in the slot. Woods and Nico Collins, 10 and 11 targets each. Noah Brown got hurt. Tank Dell's going to move into a bigger usage role moving forward. He's going to probably play a lot of slot, and he can do some damage in there if he is to get loose. I think he's like 3,200. So I like the Houston guys in that range against a bad defense, and they are a bad defense. We like it when bad defenses, or we like it when consolidated target trees meet up with bad defenses. That's really good for fantasy. Nico Collins, 11 targets last week. I'm not saying he's going to get 11 targets every week, but like he's my favorite Houston option if you're in that range. Obviously, 3,200 for Tank Dell could be a very good tournament play. Mentioned Tutu Atwell. JSN playing mostly the slot for them. Van Jefferson, he's nice, but he's not thrilling. Like he might be the guy that has a big week. If everybody's looking over at Puka, it's like it's a crapshoot with the Rams. They're just not a good team going up against San Francisco. I want to go with the guy I think is going to be most targeted and not gamble on touchdowns with the Rams against San Francisco. I just want to soak up as many targets. So whoever's in the Cooper Kupp role is the one that I'm probably going to look at. And that's really, oh yeah, there's one more, 3,900, Hunter Renfrow, assuming that Jacoby Myers doesn't make it back from being in concussion protocol by Sunday. Hunter Renfrow could see expanded role this week. Pittman Collins, a fun secondary stack. I do not disagree with you. I don't disagree at all. It's a very good. Do I have a PFF code? I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore. I didn't maintain it because nobody went. Renfro's a good call with no Myers. Again, if no Myers. I'm not expecting him to get like 10 targets or anything. I think that Myers's target numbers were based on Surtain being the path of least resistance last week with Patrick Surtain on Adams, where that's not going to be a thing this week. He could still get 6 targets at 3,900. Probably projects for 6.5 if Myers is out. So yeah, those are places that I'm going to go this week. I hope that this video helped you guys. I really, really do. Will Purdy deliver the pizza in 30 minutes or less? 60 minutes. It's a 60-minute game. If he delivers in 30 minutes or less, then they're up 50-0. If he delivers a 30-minute pizza this week, we're all feasting. But it's a very, very good, it's a good stack, and it's a cheap stack with everybody else going with an awful lot of high dollar wide receivers. Great way to get cheap with a double stack and a bring back there. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a like on the video. Look out for another one there.
He's a legend.